This episode goes on my list for my favorite ones, not only because we have some kind of wedding for Nolan in it. I must admit I was deceived in the last episode that they chose the surprise moment over showing us how they got married. At least we got to see some snippets of Louise's beautiful wedding gown. I know we had the big wedding event in season 3 and we all knew that if Jack would survive the finale we would see a new Emily wedding with her real name for a change. But I like the idea of Nolan getting married, cause deep in his heart he wants the same things as Emily. A normal life with a family of his own. They both would never admit that, but it is as simple as true. Another reason might be that Disney is involved here and they are selling happy ends, so I always knew that this show would not end badly. And Americans tend to end shows with a happy rather than a sad end. Even the gloomiest and supernatural shows get their happy end. Mostly with some losers and tears, but still the main characters always get something in return to console the audience, which is a nice touch since life is cruel enough, so at least in television and on the big screen we get our fairy tale ending like happy ever after. So in short, I was rooting for this pair and really caught by the story in this episode. Especially because we got all these twists and turns. First we thought what Penelope Louise's mother was saying is true and that they just wanted to protect her from a disturbing truth. Then Emily got involved and we had our first doubt. What still pisses me off that they never solved if Louise's brother was involved. I mean, Daniel was always there for Charlotte and held her back when he could. In season 2 he helped her with Emily to stand up against their father Conrad who stole her inheritance, and he supported her when she told him she was pregnant. In season 3 that changed and he was using her until he made it up to her in season 4 by trying to keeping her out of trouble. This is more than Emily ever did even though she was her sister. So they surely could have dived deeper in this relationship here than just keeping him to be this shady lawyer who goes in bed with Victoria. Metaphorical speaking, of course. About Margaux and Victoria again. I must admit that Victoria really surprised me here. She seems so considerate and rational like never before. If she stayed like this, maybe she even gained Emily's trust. On the other hand, Margaux seems stubborn and, like I said, very much as Emily 2.0. How she is rejecting every proposition of Victoria and wants revenge so badly like Emily in all those seasons before. I appreciate what they are trying here. Divide and conquer. While Victoria is playing the good cop and keeps the peace, Margaux concentrates on finding an angle to take down Emily. I only wished they made this one clearer and kept Victoria on board from the start. If she was plotting behind Emily's and David's back together with Margaux, this would have shown two things. First, how vile she really is, and second, it would have drawn a new similarity between her and Emily, who was doing the same the whole time till the end of season 3 when she came out in the open to face Victoria at the cemetery. About Emily's birthday present. Nice touch that the first birthday of her is actually her real one. Cause if I remember correctly we only celebrated Daniel's birthday in season 1. Only Charlotte's birthdays were mentioned in every season and she got that big party in season 3. Nolan mentioned Amanda's birthday and his present was the beach house, so I doubt that the date of his wedding reception was chosen out of a whim. He surely wanted Emily to give a chance to celebrate with her father without the burden of celebrating her real birthday before revealing her true identity. About Victoria's new adversary. That was funny but not that much entertaining at all, cause it was so obvious giving her a new target for her rage, so that Emily can focus on Margaux and has not to fight a war on two fronts. Spoiler alert, but as Natalie was not only targeting Victoria and threw a wider net with attacking David, this was too much. About David and Jack. I hate to admit it, but I like this little scene and that everyone gets a piece of David, so to say. as they bound together after Kate's death and they wanted to protect Emily. I never really liked the dynamic between the two. But this scene was kind of a little redemption for David. The next scene was a bit ridiculous. I appreciate the idea keeping this Japanese or Asian influence on Emily alive. First with the decorum of Grayson Manor and now with this meditation technique. But like I said in the episode talks of season 1, I never felt comfortable with this, cause it tends to be very much superficial and mixing different cultures and symbols. About Emily saving Louise. I know this is only a filler episode and the plot is very thin and sometimes ridiculous, but it just makes fun. Like this scene here with Emily in disguise again. She can be just so funny when she is playing those stiff women with the aura of a secretary. It is so totally out of character for Emily. And I really love this bonding moment with her and Louise. I think they could be really best friends. On that fanfiction site was more than one story that took up the idea of a spin-off with Nolan and Louise being together and Emily and Jack being still in the picture. There were quite some nice stories around. If they are still online, you should check them out. About Louise's revenge and the wedding reception. Interesting choice of clothes for Nolan and Louise's mother. Though this is no real wedding, I thought white was not allowed, only for the bride. And Nolan's blazer with all those skulls. What is the message here? That his single years are over and he is burying them. But Emily's dress was just beautiful. She looks like a little doll with this wide skirt. And the blue color really suits her. Another thing about Emily's hair I am just noticing now. I never really realized how dark her hair got in the last episodes. Was it by accident cause Emily Van Camp was playing other roles in movies like the Marvel ones? Or should this be a statement about her identity crisis and becoming more like Victoria? So her darkened hair color shows how far she is fallen and how bad this war between the two women gonna be. About Jack and Margaux. Her dress is stunning too and looks a bit more like French haute couture. It is nice to see that both still share a friendship. I think that was always the hardest part, seeing her go after Emily. That she was giving into her dark side and never went back until the very end, though she had multiple times the chance to stop and turn around. Spoiler alert, I always liked that he was the only one who was carrying a torch for Margaux and wanted to persuade her to drop her vendetta. He believed in her like he always believed in Emily and saw still the good in both women. Even though they both did terrible things that affected his life in a bad way. That is maybe the biggest problem of this character. He never learns out of his mistakes. If you are polite and positive on this, Jack has a moral compass and a core identity that does not change. In a negative sense, he does not evolve. Going back to being a bartender is the most obvious sign, like his obsession with Amanda. About David and Victoria. Funny that they call it even. Maybe he is just still too much in love with her. Cause I never bought Victoria's and Margaux's view that David was just playing with her from the beginning. Victoria should know better than to believe Emily, who told her David was plotting her death since he came back to the Hamptons. I believe he truly wanted to know if his suspicions were right and Victoria betrayed him. But as he saw her again, his emotions got the worst of him and he was thrown back to their best times. After getting to know about Victoria's lies and that she kept his daughter away from him again, he changed his mind and wanted to kill her. That is the story, nothing more. I guess they changed it because it showed David in a better light. Spoiler alert, and makes it more plausible why he kills her in the end. Anyway, the theme seems to be that David is now not that much better than Conrad and Victoria, while Emily is still standing in the middle and we do not know which way the pendulum will swing. And here comes the beautiful bride. I must admit I was a little deceived that we saw so little of this beautiful dress. Besides Emily's wedding dress, of course, for me this one is the best of revenge. 'cause it is so simple and elegant and truly suits Elena Satine's slim yet female figure. And of course I just love this revenge scene with the flashback and Nolan making his statement about Emily dancing with her dad. These little moments are the reason why I love this last season so much. They just take the time between all the crazy stuff to show us these little moments between Emily and David. Okay, the flashbacks with this magic light and colors are far better. But they did a great job in showing us how fast this relationship is growing and they are becoming father and daughter again. I was really touched by these scenes cause they made me wish my father would have been here to see his grown-up daughter. Personal feelings aside, I knew that something big and bad would gonna happen since Emily mentioned all her friends and that she is happy now. Whenever someone tells us this in an American TV show and especially in Revenge, something terrible is gonna happen. Not only to him or her but to the person's friends as well. So they made it very clear here that the fun part is over and we are going to the last run on the dark side of revenge. By the way, I like this nice transition to Louise and Nolan. Shows the full wealth of Emily's world and how good she can assemble herself to this luxurious life which is still her facade. About Victoria and her throne. See, this is another sign why we should not trust Victoria's talk about peace and truce. She is still not over losing her status as Queen of the Hamptons. Though I ask myself how this chair found his way to Nolan's club. Or is it just another version and the real one is the one she gets back later in one of the last episodes? About Emily, Jack and Ben. This was the worst part of the next couple of episodes. Like I said, I thought as many of the audience it would be finally Jack's time to be with Emily. So I was hit as hard as Jack when he saw Emily kissing Ben. You cannot blame Ben, he does not know that Jack is interested in her cause, he never made that clear. But Emily should know how his feelings are. After season 3 and Aidan's death, he must have been a great comfort like Nolan. And I do not think that she did not catch how he still looks at her. It is the same look he had before Fomanda stormed into his life. And she knows as well that he never stopped loving Amanda. So putting 2 and 2 together must not have been that hard. To make his nightmare complete, Margaux is not only going after Emily but after Jack as well. I know she does this only to exonerate Daniel's name, very much like Emily did for her father. And it would have been easy for Emily to do that for Margaux. So I was torn between these two women all the time. Yes, it is terrible what lies Emily and the others are telling about Daniel only to protect this silly secret. I mean, if you think about how smoothly uncovering this secret looks in a couple episodes ahead, you really wonder why they did make such a fuss of it before. After Malcolm Black was arrested, Emily, Jack and David could have told the whole truth, and I wonder why even Victoria did not suggest such a thing. However, it is more than inappropriate to pull Jack into this, especially after their nice conversation and him caring about her becoming a single mother. As we will see in the upcoming episodes, Margaux is so blinded by her rage and need for revenge that she behaves like Emily in her worst times in season 1. Like her, Margaux is willing to accept any collateral damage as long as it suits her goal.